So what is up, Africana fam? Going straight into this video. This hair is sponsored by UNice Hair, and I'll be using their 13 by 4 HD lace frontal wig in the inches of 20 inches. And to start off with the bleaching process, you're going to need your BW2 powder, a mixing bowl, and a little wisp, and your Clairol 30 volume developer. And this is the frontal straight out the package. As you guys can see, it is a HD lace and the knots are extremely tiny. And we got our gloves for protection and a butter knife. And don't forget your tinfoil, y'all. So right now I like to pour half of the packet into the mixing bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and pour some Clairol developer. And the ratio between the powder and the Clairol developer, I like to use 2 to 1. I like to use more powder than the developer, just so that I can have like a pasty type of consistency. And you want to make sure that it's pasty so that it doesn't seep through the lace when you're applying it, especially if you have a heavy hand. So when you are picking it up, you should have like a very pasty consistency, and it shouldn't drop while you're shaking it. That's how you can tell if the consistency is good or you need to add more powder to make it thicker. Now I like to go in with my hot comb on the hottest setting, and what I'm doing is I'm training the hair to be straight. I noticed that when it comes out of the package, sometimes the hair could be laying flat on the lace, which sometimes could lead to the bleach bleeding onto the actual hair itself instead of just the knots. So say for example, when the hair is like laying to the right, I like to hot comb it to the left, and when it's laying on the left, I like to hot comb it to the right. And that just ensures that the hair is just straight and it's not laying on the lace, and we can avoid bleeding. Now on to the bleach, you guys. I'm taking my butter knife and I'm using a very, very light hand. I do have my tinfoil underneath, and I have the tinfoil on the less shiny side because we're going to flip it over. But I like to tackle the front of the hairline first, because wherever you apply the bleach first is where it's going to turn first. And the most important part is the front of the frontal. As long as the front of the frontal does not have any black knots, I am perfectly okay. If it has black knots in the back, I don't really care about it, but the front is what we care about the most. So you want to make sure that you tackle that first so it's able to bleach first. And again, like I'm just using the butter knife instead of a brush, just because the brush bristles tend to press in the bleach. And again, for my beginners, you just want to make sure that everything is kind of foolproof and that, you're able to do this on your first shot with your eyes closed, So again, I'm just going to go ahead and just do this same process all over the frontal, make sure I get every knot, and making sure that I'm covering every knot, you guys. And again, light hand, I am not pressing it in. I'm doing it very lightly. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn over the frontal and let that sit. And I let that sit for about 40 minutes, you guys. But every hair is different. You just want to make sure you check on it about every 5 to 10 minutes to see if it's turning. And what I'm doing right now is lifting up the hair, because some of it is still laying on the lace. And I do not want the actual hair or the root of the hair to get dyed, only the knots. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the front of the hair so that the bleach can only tackle the knots and not the actual root of the hair. And this rule is game changer. So this is at like around the 35-minute mark. I let it sit for about 5 minutes, and now I'm going to go ahead and rinse it with some warm water. I'm going to go ahead and just wash out or rinse out all the bleach first before I go ahead and apply my blue shampoo. And the blue shampoo I'll be using is the Joico Color Balance Blue. Again, when you're bleaching your knots, you're bleaching it to be orange or brownish type color, not to blonde. And according to the color wheel, blue cancels out orange. So we're going to go ahead and use the blue shampoo, not the purple shampoo, you guys. And I let that sit for about 5 minutes after I lathered it. And you guys, it literally canceled out all the orange and brassy tones in the frontal, y'all. And I'm just going to go ahead and rinse that out. And I shampooed and conditioned it off camera. And as you guys can see, look at that. Just look at the knots, you guys. It is looking absolutely flawless, and it's not even dry yet. As you guys can see, none of the bleach bled on to the actual roots of the hair, only on the knots. And I'm going to go ahead and just part the hair so you guys can see that there's no bleeding whatsoever. So this is how you get a foolproof, natural looking lace frontal, okay? Boom, no bleeding whatsoever, y'all. Y'all see it. The proof is in the pudding. So I went ahead and grabbed my mannequin head and just T-pinned the frontal on there. And you want to make sure that the hair is damp and have a spray bottle with water next to you just to continuously dampen the hair. So this technique, I got it from my lovely friend Slay by Jordan. Go ahead and check him out. He is the hair goat, okay? But I learned this technique from him and completely game changer. So I went ahead and used my rat tail comb and I parted the hair, and I'm going to start plucking from the back. So when you're parting the hair, you want to make sure it's like a pretty large chunk away from the frontal or the front area of the frontal. And what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and start plucking behind my part, not on the part. And you want to make sure while plucking, you're not plucking in the same spot. You're going to make sure that you're plucking in different areas to reduce the chances of you getting a bald spot if you are plucking in the same area. And the tweezer that I'm using is the Revlon tweezer. These are the best tweezers that I've used. I feel like it's better than the brand Tweezerman. And you want to make sure that your tweezers are brand new but not super duper sharp. And as you guys can see, the way I'm tweezing is I'm using the slant to be on the frontal, not the opposite way. So the pointy part and then the slant part of the tweezer should be against and should lay right against onto the frontal. And you shouldn't be plucking with just the pointy part because that is how you create holes. As you guys can see, the slant is laying directly on the frontal. And I'm going to go ahead and use my comb just to comb out any of the excess hair that I have plucked out. And then now we're going to go ahead and cut a little section to get a little bit closer to the front area. And we're going to do the same exact thing until we get to the front. So again, just make sure that the slant is directly on the frontal. You are not plucking directly on the part. You're plucking behind the part. And also to make sure that you are not plucking in the same exact spot. And comb out the unnecessary or the plucked out hair that you have plucked out, just so you can see your work. I would say after every 10 tweezes, comb out your hair. I like to use like the forearm of my arm, of course, to kind of like, get the hair away just so it could be faster than the comb, because sometimes picking up the comb, it takes out a lot of time. So I just use my hand, as you guys can see, to just sway away the plucked out hair. And I'm just literally picking at parts where it looks a little bit dense. And now we are on to the front part. Now this part gets a little bit tricky, but remember, do not pluck directly on the hairline. Pluck right behind the hairline. So as you guys can see, I am not touching the front of the hairline at all. I am plucking behind the hairline. And again, like, you use your eyes, because your eyes are there for a reason. If you see certain parts are looking a little bit dense, go in that area behind the hairline and pluck in that section. And again, I'm just using my hands to just, remove any of the plucked hair. That's just like my alternate to like using a comb. Now for the middle section, we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing. But one thing I would like to advise is if you are doing a middle part, sometimes I would advise you to just part your middle part so you know that you're not plucking on your middle part. But in the area that you have your middle part, do not pluck in that area at all. Otherwise, you will have a wide middle part. And I'm literally just doing the same exact thing, you guys. So I'm going to stop talking because it's pretty repetitive. Pluck behind that hairline. Make sure the slant is directly on the lace, as you guys can see. And do not pluck in the same areas, y'all. Pluck in different spots every single time. You do not want a bald spot. It's not fun. And again, I'm just combing out the hair just to get rid of the excess hair that I had plucked. And as you guys can see, it is starting to look a little bit more gradient. Me personally, I do not like to pluck too much because frontals shed naturally. And you just want to make sure that like you're not looking bald, you know, like hairlines, even though naturally it kind of fades in the front, it should not be a complete fade, y'all. Like it's okay for it to be a wee bit dense. That's why you get pre-plucked frontals, just to make your job a little bit more easier, and you don't have to damage the frontal as much. And we are doing the same exact thing, you guys. Like I said, I like to go for a natural look for my frontals. I don't like them too plucked out because frontals shed naturally. And, you know, for the everyday working woman, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be replacing your frontal after one use each time. So save yourself the trouble. It will get, you know, less dense over time. Can y'all see that natural fade, y'all? Like, it's giving Scalpiano. Come on. So now to check my work, the hair is dry. I'm going to go in with my hot comb just to flatten it out, just to see how it will look, you know, once it's like, you know, nice and done. And if you need to pluck more, go ahead and pluck more, but I am satisfied with how this looks. It's looking super natural, not too light, but not too dense either. And these are the finished results. This is the before and after of the hair, before it was plucked and after it is plucked. And you can see the clear difference, you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I will be showing my updated routine on how I install my lace frontals this week. So please stay tuned, subscribe to me, and click that bell notification to get notified of when I drop. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.